Our Universalist heritage proposed that each person is made of divine goodness. Science offers that we are stardust. Whatever your beliefs, know that you are a gift inherently worthy of love. You are a gift, and we are glad that you are here. Love is the spirit of all souls. In this moment of our shared journey, may you feel witnessed and honored wherever you are in your own journey. So let us now greet our neighbors, especially new or returning people, with our names and our pronouns.
Green. Green. Melody. Melody. Melody.
Circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep the circle.
Hi. Hello.
There you are.
Sorry. It works when I unmute myself. We're going to learn, kind of learn because you already know, but we're going to learn the different lines of this hymn today. It is number 155. Feel free to stand up, embody your spirit with us and sing. And we're going to start singing the melody with Jenny. So let's do again the melody. Ready, go.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children. Keep a circle.
Good job. Now we're going to learn the top line, which is our second line. Top line, which is our second voice. So let's go with Jane. Ready, go.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle
the children of our children, keep the circle. And you can choose whatever line you want to sing. And let's do this together. Those two lines, the first and the middle line. Ready, go.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle.
And now let's learn the third line with me. Liz? Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle. Now let's do the melody, which is our middle line, and the third line together. Ready? Ready, go. Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle for the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle. Now everybody together singing all three voices. Pick yours and sing.
Circle round for freedom, circle round for peace, for all of us imprisoned, circle for release, circle round the planet, circle for each soul, for the children of our children, keep the circle.
Thank you.
Good morning again. Good morning and welcome to all of us who are here with us in the moment, and to those who are catching us later on. My name is Fran Quigley. My pronouns are he, him, and I'll be serving as your worship associate for today's service, together with Nancy Olson, our Director of Congregational Life and Faith Formation, pronoun she, ea, our visiting minister, Rev Allison Farnum, whose pronouns are she, her, hers, Gabe Perrieri, our music director, pronouns he, him, and Liz Elsmore, our collaborative pianist, pronouns she, her, and we are your worship team on the chancel today. People of all ages are joyfully welcome to join us in service, but nursery care is available if that option works best for you. I invite everyone to please complete a connection card. They are the colorful strips of paper on the ends of the pews. This card is a great way to let us know if you would like support, need assistance, if you have new contact information, or if you're new to us, or if you have an interest, comment, or question, you can place that card in the offering basket. So a few quick announcements for those of us who are here present in the sanctuary today. We are here for a hot service, right? The good news is there are other parts of the building that are more properly air-conditioned right now, so if you do need to take a break and to get into someplace cooler, the library is much cooler, upstairs is much cooler, So feel free to head out to a more air-conditioned setting. After service, everyone is welcome to join us for our potluck picnic in Harris Hall, and I can see through the windows that the table is filling up with all kinds of brought goodies. So that picnic's happening right after the service. And then at 11:30 in the library, Rev Allison will be facilitating a discussion about prison ministry. You're going to hear more about that from her today. She's going to invite us to organize ourselves to be a presence to those in jails and prisons, that we can remember our power as a humanizing, caring presence. As we begin our time together, we acknowledge the land itself and those who have sustained it through the generations. We are upon the unceded land of the Lenape, the Miamia, the Kaskaskia, the Shawnee and Kickapoo people who were pushed from their land and whose children have been stolen for generations. We are striving to be a community of justice, so may we continue to find ways to make reparations.
Good morning. I invite you to join in our responsive reading, which you can find in your gray hymnal. It's number 662. It's also in your order of worship. The years of all of us are short, our lives precarious. Yet we find time for bitterness, for petty treason, and evasion. Here we are, all of us, upon this planet, bound together in a common destiny. Kindred in this, each lighted by the same precarious, flickering flame of life. How does it happen that we are not kindred in all things else? Amen.
Good morning. Use this. We have a chalice lighting this morning, and we need a chalice lighter. Fran, would you do the honors? We had a few things happening this morning. For our collective liberation, we light this chalice, symbol of our faith alive in this world, naming our vision of collective liberation and daring to remember each other into beloved community. I'm going to read this one more time. We light this chalice, symbol of our faith alive in this world, naming our vision of collective liberation and daring to remember each other into beloved community. And now if you would like to stand as you are so moved, and we will recite our covenant, first in Spanish and then in English. And for those of you online, we always like to know where you're lighting your chalice from. El amor es el espíritu de esta iglesia, y el servicio es su ley, vivir juntos en paz, buscar la verdad en el amor, y ayudarnos unos a otros. Este es nuestro pacto. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. Thank you. And if you'd stay standing, in the teal hymnal, we'll be singing 1053, How Could Anyone?
Good morning, beloveds. I am so happy to be with you this morning. Again, I'm Rev Allison Farnum. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I actually live in Evanston, Illinois, which is north of Chicago. But I used to live in Southwest Florida. Do you know someone else who used to live in Southwest Florida? Your minister, Reverend Katie, used to live in Southwest Florida with Sean, and I got to be their minister before Reverend Katie had become a minister. So I am so happy to be with you today and to celebrate her sabbatical and to be with you. And I just also want to give a special thanks to Doris Cantrell for her home hospitality. But I wanted to share a little bit about the work that I get to do as the director and minister of the Unitarian Universalist Prison Ministry of Illinois. And one of the ways we do that is by telling stories. There's a beautiful book called See You Soon, and it's written by Miriam Kaba. And if anyone is ever interested in learning more about prisoner solidarity work or advocacy and all the ways it intersects with ways that we can show up for one another, especially those who have been who are not included in the dominant culture and who are criminalized, then I would definitely look into the author Miriam Kaba. She's an amazing person, and she really cares a lot about children. So I wanted to share a story with you that she wrote, and it's illustrated by Bianca Diaz. And this one actually has some scenes from Chicago. And one of the things that I get to do is go into Cook County Jail and spend time with women who get opportunities to reflect and potentially try to create some healing spaces in a place that doesn't really care about their well-being. So I'm going to share this story with you, and we'll match up the slides so that you can see the pictures. Queenie's what they call me, but Reina is my name. I'm 6 years old, and my life's about to change. My mama, she's been sick since I was very small. Sometimes she goes away when she isn't feeling very well at all. At school, a girl named Keisha sometimes says mean things to me. Reina is my name. Your mama, I'm takes 6 drugs. Years old, she's a junkie. And my life's about to change. Keisha's words sting my heart and leave me feeling sad. Don't pay her any mind, says Grandma Louise. Feeling very well at all. She's sick, and that doesn't mean she's bad. When Mama isn't sick, we are like your mama. She's 6 years old. She's a junkie. And my life's about to change. Even an odd words. We share ice cream Sundays and leave me feeling sad. We wash clothes at the laundromat. Any mind, says Grandma Louise. Feeling very well at all. She's sick, and that doesn't mean today we're riding on a train. Grandma, Mama, and me. When Mama isn't sick, the bus we are like your mama. She's 6 years old. She's a junkie. My life's about to change. Mama's looking out the window. We share ice cream Sundays and leave me feeling sad. We wash clothes at the laundromat. Any mind, says Grandma Louise. Feeling very well at all. She's sick, and that doesn't mean I have so many questions I want to ask, but I'm afraid. Grandma, Mama isn't sick. We are like your mama. She's 6 years old. She's a junkie. Mama's Mama's looking out the window. We share ice cream Sundays and leave me feeling sad and find the strength at the laundromat. Any mind, says Grandma Louise. Feeling very well at all. She's sick, and she looks like me. I have so many questions I want to ask, but I'm afraid. Mama isn't sick. We are your mama. She's 6 years old. She's a junkie. Mama's even looking out the window. We share ice cream Sundays and leave me feeling sad and find the strength at the laundromat. Any mind, says Grandma Louise. Feeling very well at all. And she looks like me. I have so many questions I want to ask, but I'm afraid. Mama isn't sick. We are your mama. She's 6 years old. She's a junkie. Mama's even looking out the window. We share ice cream Sundays and leave me feeling sad and find the strength at the laundromat. Any mind, says Grandma Louise. Feeling very well at all. And she looks like me. I have so many questions I want to ask, but I'm afraid. Mama isn't sick. We are your mama. She's 6 years old. She's a junkie. Mama's even looking out the window. We share ice cream Sundays and leave me feeling sad and find the strength at the laundromat. Any mind, says Grandma Louise. Feeling very well at all. And she looks like me. I have so many questions I want to ask, but I'm afraid. Mama isn't sick. We are your mama. She's 6 years old. She's a junkie.
Please join me in taking a few moments to note that which is currently bringing joy or sorrow to our community. Crystal Francis's great aunt, Irie Francis, passed away last Sunday. Irie's funeral was held yesterday here in Indianapolis. Parents Tori Salvo and Zach Keeney are celebrating the birth of their daughter, Oakland Dawn Joy, who was born June 26th. Oakland was 5 weeks early and weighed 5 pounds, 8 ounces. So she will be spending some time more in the NICU, but is doing well. Her grandmother is Sherilyn Bainey, and her great-grandmother is Nancy Bainey. Nancy Olson has a card in Harris Hall for us to sign to send to the family. We also keep in our thoughts Jim and Betty Scrimenti. Jim has fallen ill recently, and when we have more details, we'll be sure to share them. Let us hold a moment of silence together for the joys and sorrows in our hearts that are as yet unnamed. Thank you.
I invite you now to rise in body or spirit as we sing number 1009, Meditation on Breathing, in your teal hymnal. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out love. When I breathe in, breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. We could also sing breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Let's sing together one last time. And breathe out, breathe in. I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Thank you.
This reading is entitled The Mirror by Lonnie Smith. Lonnie Smith holds a Master of Arts in Christian Ministry and Restorative Arts from North Park Seminary. He has been caged for 34 years in Illinois state prisons, for a long time at now-closed Stateville Prison. He is currently locked up in Robinson, Illinois. Lonnie is a scholar activist who serves on the UU Prison Ministry of Illinois Advisory Council. The Mirror. Stateville Correctional Center is a tomb that contains the convicted, whether guilty or not, and the only object that one has to see themselves with is the mirror. A mirror is no respecter of person. The distorted view can be a true reflection of self. The mirror is a consistent companion in one's solitude, and it gives one solace in seeing a familiar face that keeps you company in the loneliest times. The gravity of being buried alive in a place that holds so many tortured souls makes you wonder, are you still among the living? But the mirror confirms you're still alive. The mirror gives you vision beyond the 10-foot by 6-foot concrete box, beyond the iron bars and the dull surfaces intended to dehumanize the soul and suppress our emotions. In wonder, a select few can see glimpses of beauty, and sometimes capturing one profound image can give you peace throughout the entire day. In a place designed to break you psychologically and spiritually, we find community in the human interaction of conversing with our next-door neighbor. With the mirror held out the century-old bars, we can talk face-to-face with a fellow captive. We can talk about nostalgia, sorrow, and hopes for tomorrow. This is what builds community in the reflections of a mirrored life.
When you're down and troubled and you need some love and care, and nothing is going right, close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, All you have to do is call, and I'll be there. You've got a friend. If the sky above you grows dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind should begin to blow, keep your head together and call my name out loud. Soon you'll hear me knocking at your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. Now ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you and take your soul if you let them. Oh yeah, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, running, running to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you have to do is call, and I'll be there, yes I will. You've got a friend. You've got a friend. Ain't it good to know you've got a friend? Oh yeah. You've got a friend.
I am delighted to be here with you and to have the opportunity to share a little bit about the work that I get to do. And part of that work is an invitation to live very deeply into the best of Unitarian Universalist theologies, where in the ways that we show up for one another in community, we refuse to abandon one another, even when things get hard. One of the people that I have learned most deeply about solidarity from, which is kind of like showing up and caring for each other, accompanying one another, is from Monica Cosby. Monica is part of our Unitarian Universalist prison ministry. She was one of the founding consultants because she is someone who has, as she puts it, experiential scholarship. And she was locked up in Logan, which is a women's prison down south, downstate in Illinois, for 25 years. And her presence, she's often on podcasts and is out there in the world as an activist, artist, grandmother, scholar who wants us to know more about the power of solidarity and community building that comes from people who have been in prison, and the wisdom that that could offer the free world about how we can show up for one another in community. And so hopefully we can show a picture of her where she reminds us that solidarity is a gift. And there's a whole chapter in a book that's entitled Let This Radicalize You. And it's a book by Kelly Hayes and Mariam Kaba. And in the book, the chapter is entitled Refusing to Abandon. And it takes Monica's words and part of her story and interviews with her and her discussions about how, when she was locked up, the community that she built with women was powerful and life-saving. That there were times in her journey, especially being caged for that long, where she was ready to not be in this world anymore. And she shares openly about the experience of women who saw what was happening, and instead of going to chow to get their dinner, decided and said they would sit with her, and basically sit in a vigil with her until she made it through that day. Or stories about how if you sometimes made a face at the guard or the officer as a little form of resistance, but you knew it would bring joy to your friend, you'd get that ticket just to bring joy to your friend. Or the story about how there was a certain friend of hers who always needed to have coffee, and that it was really good for her mental health for her to have coffee. And it was good actually for everyone's mental health if she had coffee. And so they made sure that she always had coffee even if she didn't have any funds in her commissary account. It's that way of showing up. Kind of reminds me of some communities that I get to be a part of as a Unitarian Universalist. Reminds me of our congregations. How we refuse to abandon one another. How we try to find ways to heal when we've done wrong with one another, because there are always going to be oops and ouches in a community. But that we find a way through with integrity to our values. I'm reminded also, as we think about Monica's words of refusing to abandon, the words of one of my retired colleagues, the Reverend Marcia Curtis, who helped found the Unitarian Universalist Prison Ministry of Illinois. And she reminds us that in our theology, we remind everybody that no one is disposable. I'm sure you all are aware that we live in a sort of throwaway society, that our worth seems to be reduced to what we produce, what we can buy. But hopefully, if we are actually in the late stages of capitalism, we can work towards a more wholesome vision, one of tikkun olam, one in which we participate in the healing of the world, one in which we cooperate with the spirit of life and love that moves in and through all of us. Prison abolition, in my current thinking, is part of this vision. And it is defined by the social geographer Ruth Wilson Gilmore as the presence of life-building institutions. So instead of just thinking about prison abolition as tearing down prisons and defunding policing, instead we can think of prison abolition more about building towards a world where we can respond to harm in our society in ways that are vastly more creative than caging humans. Prisons are a failed project that continue to be funded in our states and in our nation. And now more than ever, we are seeing how criminalization works to disappear people and to dispose of people who, by some dominant culture, would be thrown away. But that's not who we are. Can I get an amen? Amen. So what Ruth Wilson Gilmore talks about, especially in her analysis of how land and space plays into this in her social geographical work, is that we have a phenomenon of the organized abandonment of the state with certain groups of people who have been abandoned and let go of and being told you don't matter. And that organized abandonment comes in the form of economic violence, of criminalizing behaviors that are based in survival of folks. And that organized abandonment is something that we don't need to be a part of. It's so difficult to actually, if you've ever visited a loved one or someone you know in jail or prison, if you can get in to see them, there are so many barriers that are set up to isolate and to punish an individual when they are put in prison. So if we could just show a picture of me and my friend Lonnie in the next slide. So you heard the words of my friend Lonnie Smith, who wrote The Mirror. I actually just had the opportunity to visit with Lonnie yesterday. And it was a real opportunity because when people visit folks who are locked up in prison or in jail, it is a visual, it is a physical presence reminder that these people matter to someone else. And so the process of dehumanization, which is built into the carceral system, is disrupted when people visit and show up for a visitation. And so Lonnie and I had the opportunity yesterday to spend a good 3 hours together eating sodium-rich foods from the vending machine. One of the reasons that I learned about visitation as being a sort of political space is from Patrice Lumumba Daniels, who helped me design this service. He, along with Lonnie, are two of our individuals who are incarcerated, who are part of our prison ministry's advisory council. I'll show a picture of Patrice. In this picture, Patrice is flanked by myself and by one of our elders in the organization, Megan Selby. And here we are in Illinois with him on a prison visit. And he reminds us about how when we show up for each other, we are humanizing one another. It's a mutual experience. We all get to be more human and live more fully into our human potential. And Patrice is one of those people who's a visionary. And he believes in things, even though, like, I might say, hey, let's remove prisons, let's take away policing. A lot of folks might think, like, well, that's crazy. But it's also a vision that's been held onto through many generations through an anti-violence movement led particularly by Black women who've been most impacted through seeing their loved ones locked up. So when we talk about prison abolition, I don't talk about it lightly, but with a great sense of tenderness towards the people who have been working towards this for generations. Patrice reminds us that visionaries change the world. He talks about Isaac Asimov. He says, Isaac Asimov had self-driving cars, DVDs, Zoom calls, cell phones, all those things in his books. In some instances, way before they actually came to be. Fiction is now fact. The same can be true for the disrupting, dismantling, and elimination of the prison industrial complex and its many horrible tentacles. We may not live to see the fulfillment of this vision. Many visionaries do not. Nevertheless, the legacy endures. We are doing what matters. And so we, in the face of organized abandonment in our congregations, particularly in this time, are refusing to abandon and instead are becoming an organized presence. And I have a feeling, because All Souls Indy has been around for a while, you have been an organized presence siding with love for generations. That we can companion one another and take the lead, especially from those who are most affected by the ills of this world. And so in the work that I get to do with the UU Prison Ministry of Illinois, it is guided by members who are inside and incarcerated. We have 183 inside members who we always are trying to actively match up with pen pals outside in Illinois who are Unitarian Universalist in the free world. And part of what our goals are, because we are in relationship with folks who are inside, they want to be able to get out. And there's a short-term goal of working towards legislation that can help end death by incarceration. So I'll show you a picture of a particular prison visit I did of me with my state senator, Laura Fine. So Senator Laura Fine, I had been talking with her over the years about my friend Lonnie and about our relationship, about how he had a long-term sentence, how he had been caged for over 30 years, and how he was remorseful and really was ready to give back to society. And how could we have legislation that could make that possible, that could find a way to end these long-term sentences? In Illinois, as in many other states, in the 90s, there was a brutal shutdown. It was the sort of law and order mentality that we now can see again, this tough on crime policies that basically created a way of saying, we're doing something where you stay in prison for the amount that you're sentenced. That's it. In Illinois, there's no parole, there's no systematic review of someone to see if they are ready to be back out and give back to society. So in this visit with Senator Laura Fine, I was able to have her meet my friend Lonnie. And I thought it might be where she sits and maybe talks to him for about half an hour, and then we'd, have another sodium-rich snack from a vending machine and then head out. But instead, she sat and listened to Lonnie, who had rehearsed what he was going to say very powerfully for 2.5 hours. That's a legislator. These things can happen. And so now when I call Senator Fine, they know who I am, they know who I'm talking about, and oftentimes just say, yes, I'll be a co-sponsor. That's through building relationship and organized presence. So most of our folks inside, a lot of them have long-term sentences, and so we find ways to build relationships that are outside and inside. And so if we could switch to the next slide, I believe I snuck it in with Akil. Do you see a picture of someone with like rainbow streamers in the back? Did that one come up? No? Okay. So I had someone who I was in contact with. We did a study praxis together, and he was inside and had a couple outside pen pals. And then when he got out, he and I decided we would share a sermon together. And so his name is Keith Talley. And then we decided as an organization that if we were going to focus on the lives of prisoners, that we needed to probably have someone on staff who'd had that lived experience. And so Keith came on as a coworker. And so he and I go to different pulpits and talk about prisoner solidarity work and what it means to embrace abolitionist visions. But one of the things he says as a Muslim, he says, Allah in the Holy Quran says, verily oppression is worse than slaughter. The real death by incarceration is not the pine box, but the suppression of all that it means to be human. So beloveds, this is a real thing that is happening. Oftentimes through the media, there's this presentation of what prisons are like, that they're there for correction, for rehabilitation. And while there are some folks who are really probably trying to do well in those systems, for the most part, it is a place that is for solely punishment. There's usually a dearth of programming, so that any kind of way that someone could begin to turn things around, it's not possible. There's no programming. So here's the opportunity, is to think about in all the different ways that we can show up for one another. Now, you might not have come here to sweat. Hopefully those of you joining online aren't as hot as we are. But to think about ways that we can show up for one another. You might not be drawn to prison ministry, and that's okay. There's a lot going on right now, okay? There's a lot going on. But one of the things that we can continue to do is to think about ways that we can show up as spiritual friends to one another and to those who are our neighbors and strangers alike. To show up for each other as spiritual companions and friends, aligned in a vision of a world that we could be part of repairing. When Patrice and I were planning this service, he wanted you to hear those words, "You've got a friend." He wanted us to think about his experience. Having been locked up since 1995, when you hear the lyrics, now ain't it good to know that you've got a friend when people can be so cold, they'll hurt you and desert you and take your soul if you let them. But don't you let them. Friends, in whatever way, we cannot let them, and we must hold on to our souls for dear life. Coming away from our General Assembly with the Unitarian Universalist Association, being invited to meet the moment amongst ourselves as religious professionals, we were talking about with our staff, with the Unitarian Universalist Association, about how now more than ever, it's important that we show up as religious bodies, showing a different way, and that we can side with love. So we'll show the next slide. Hopefully it's of different people doing stuff. An organized presence. And that could be in congregational life, building connections, honoring transitions, making spiritual friends, honoring the best of what it means to be a human, where no one is disposable, everyone has a place to lean when they're weary, to cry out when they need to, and to still be held in this community for all the big feelings. Where places like this bright and beautiful spot, can be an oasis of fortitude, of courage, and refreshment for the journey. I mean, ain't it good to know you have this place, this church? And that it isn't perfect. It ain't perfect. It's filled with real human beings, lives that are fallible and precious. And that this community is a dynamic, learning, and growing entity that's more than the sum of its parts. And that you can organize your presence to help with the repair of the world, a world of salam, of peace, that vision of heaven in the making through community. So, of course, as someone who comes from the background of prison ministry, I invite you to expand that community. And I'm so thankful to all of the leaders who have made it possible for me to be here with you. And also want to thank all of you who are of service in this congregation, who work to organize a Unitarian Universalist presence beyond these walls in whatever ways you do. And what an opportunity it is for me to go from congregation to remind you how beautiful you are and how deeply connected we all are. And to hold a mirror up for you while we visibilize those who are locked up, detained, and caged right now. As my dear friend Lonnie writes, this is what builds community, reflections of a mirrored life. Blessed be. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Allison. Thank you for your words and thank you for your ministry. Makes you proud to be a UU, doesn't it? When this kind of work is being done. Just as a reminder, in the very well air-conditioned library at 11:30, Reverend Allison will be there to facilitate a discussion about how we here in Indiana, in central Indiana, can engage in solidarity with our sisters and brothers who are incarcerated as well. For offering this week, we are sharing our offering plate with Seeds of Caring. Seeds of Caring aligns with our UU values by offering service projects for kids aged 2 to 12, empowering them to make a real difference through service, social action, and community building projects. All Souls children have been involved with Seeds of Caring projects like collecting books, making ornaments for elderly people, and creating school bags for children at Exodus Refugee Organization, among other projects. Seeds of Caring is raising a generation of kids who are change makers and bridge builders, creating a world that is kinder, more just, and more connected. To contribute, you can gift cash or a check into the collection plate, or if you're online, you can go to allsoulsindy.org. You're going to find a link there that says Give to All Souls here. It's on the left side of your screen. It's beneath the description for today's service. If you're paying online or if you're using a check, please indicate if your gift is a pledge payment or if it is for Share the Plate. Thank you for your generosity in supporting the mission of All Souls. Thank you for your continued love for one another and for this world. The morning offering may now be given and gratefully received.
And still sitting, let's sing together one more time, Circle Round for Freedom. Circle round for freedom. Circle round for peace. For all of us in prison. Circle for release. Circle for the planet. Circle for each soul. For the children of our children. Keep the circle. Circle round for freedom. Circle round for peace. For all of us in prison. Circle for release. Circle for planet. Circle for each soul. For the children of our children. Serve the circle.
As we gather and circle together in the days ahead, may we hold in our hearts all of those who still seek freedom until we are all free. Go in peace.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have friends, we all have sorrow. But if you are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me.
Please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. You got troubles, I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. If stick together we can see it through, 'cause you've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. Now some of the folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger, stronger too, maybe, but none of them will ever love you the way I do. Just me and you, boy. And as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You've got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me.
Oh yeah.
You've got a friend in me.
There's more.
If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me, lean on me. When you're not strong,
Then I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. For it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Just call me brother when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on.